Whether you're looking to buy a franchise or a business or just start your own business from scratch, you do not want to miss this video on how to use a HELOC to fund your business. So if you own a home or investment property, you may be sitting on one of the fastest ways to fund a business that most people never consider. But which property you pull that equity from changes almost everything about the terms you get. So let's get fair up it. So the foundation, what is a HELOC? A HELOC is a revolving line of credit secured against the equity in a property. It works a lot like a credit card. You draw what you need, repay it, and it becomes available again. So the draw period's typically 10 years. Access funds as needed on demand without having to repay closing costs and origination fees. Repayment period's typically 20 years. So structured payback after the draw window closes. Then you've got revolving access. You're essentially becoming your own bank. Draw, repay, and draw again. Flexible capital on your schedule. Now, why it works and why it's attractive for funding a business. Keep full ownership. No investor, no equity given up. You retain complete control of your company without some stranger telling you how to enter or exit the business. Lower rates. Rates are generally lower than most business loan products available today because it's tied to the prime rate, typically 8 to 11% if it is an LLC-owned investment property as of today in 2026. No business track record needed, so approval depends on your property and personal credit, not years of business revenue. So it's great for startups or getting something off the ground or even investing into property. Primary residence, the home HELOC. The HELOC on your primary residence is typically the easiest version to qualify for. Digital lenders like Figure are advertising rates as low as 6.8% APR right now, with approval in minutes and funding in as few as 5 days. So 620 to 680 score on a home. This is the typical minimum range to qualify for a primary home HELOC. 85 to even 90% loan to value ratio on some lenders. And with the digital guys that aren't sending a valuer out to your home, they're funding in as little as 5 days these days. So the investment property, the investment or second property HELOC, this version is a different animal entirely. Stricter requirements across the board mean you'll pay more and qualify for less, but it keeps your primary home untouched. So credit score requirement jumps to 700 to even 740 plus, significantly higher than the primary home to reflect the increased risk perceived by the lender. Loan to value cap, this is lower, so 70 to 80% LTV, and rate premium runs 0.5 to even 2.5 points higher than what you'd get on your primary home HELOC. So there's the difference, and here's the risk logic, why the gap exists. Lenders know that if a borrower's finances get tight, they protect the home they actually live in first. A rental or investment property is the one that gets sacrificed, and that's exactly why many major lenders won't even offer a HELOC on an investment property. You're often looking at a smaller pool of specialized lenders instead of your everyday bank. So the lender's calculus, investment property debt equals higher default risk. Fewer lenders, tighter terms, higher rates. So the documentation, reserves and documentation. Beyond the rate and credit score, investment property HELOCs come with additional documentation hurdles that primary home HELOCs almost never require. Cash reserves, investment property HELOCs commonly require 6 to 12 months of cash reserves sitting in your bank showing you can repay. Income verification, debt to income is evaluated against documented rental income or a debt service coverage ratio test. And they've even got business use case HELOCs that'll take into account your business revenue as well if you run a business. Primary home contrast, a primary home HELOC almost never asks for any of that. Far simpler qualification process. So, use of funds, what you can actually use it for. Once you have a HELOC, the funds are broadly flexible, but always check with your lender first. Some HELOC providers specifically prohibit business use in the loan agreement. Figure, for example, markets a small business use case directly. Not every lender does. Equipment and inventory. Fund physical assets your business needs to operate or scale. Marketing and working capital cover operational costs, campaigns or cash flow gaps. And acquisitions, even funding a business acquisition is on the table with the right lender. And SBA lenders actually see HELOCs as one of the only approved gap financing tools as long as it's serviced outside the deal you're acquiring. Now, the real risk to understand, whichever property secures this, that property is on the line if you default. Foreclosure is a genuine possibility, not a scare tactic. Collateral at stake, your home or investment property backs this loan. It's not unsecured, default means foreclosure is a real outcome. No business credit build. Every draw is tied to your personal credit and personal liability, not your business profile. and a variable rate risk. Rates are usually variable. Your payment can move as the market does. So if you have both, which one to use? If you own both a home and an investment property with equity, the decision comes down to cost versus protection. Many owners end up using a smaller draw from the primary home first, then reserving the investment property line for a bigger separate need. Now, here's the difference. Primary home HELOC is going to be cheaper, faster, easier to qualify, lower rate, however your home's at risk. Investment property HELOC, higher rate, stricter terms, keeps primary home untouched, preferred by some owners for separation. So how this fits into the bigger stack. A HELOC is rarely the entire answer on its own. It's one piece of a bigger funding stack. So how we help with this? This is exactly what we help business owners work through, or business acquirers, not just getting a HELOC, but getting the right one structured the right way. Identify the right property. We look at which property actually makes sense to tap based on your equity rate and risk tolerance, match you to the right lender. We connect you with a lender whose agreement genuinely allows business use, not one that prohibits it in the fine print. Structured in the stack, we position the HELOC alongside the rest of the funding tools, not as a standalone bet on your house. Now, ready to find your path. If you're weighing whether to fund your business through your home or an investment property, book a call. We'll walk through your actual equity position and tell you which path fits. Worst case, you walk away with a game plan. So book a call at gapfunded.com/apply. Link in the description below. Now, same tool, two different sets of terms. So let's have a quick overview here. We've got protects against primary residence versus more restrictive terms, and low risk to your home versus higher cost and scrutiny. Know which property is behind your HELOC before you apply. The terms, the risk, and strategy are entirely different depending on which side of this you're on. So have a quick look at this, pause the video, and you'll understand the matrix. Now, I'm Mick Wadley from Gap Fund. We're talking days, not weeks. More on the channel walking through how HELOC fits alongside every other tool in the funding stack. Head to gapfunded.com/apply to get started. If you absolutely adored it, head down, hit the subscribe, flog the bell, and we'll see you on the next one.